Natasha and Steve may not be quite as close in Steve and Bucky, but hey, who is? Although Steve is retired, Black Widow is going to take us back in time, which could mean a cameo from the first Avenger. Will Steve Rogers reappear on the big screen, or is he really gone for good? We said goodbye to many of our beloved heroes in Avengers Endgame, and the good news is that Captain America is still alive. But it's safe to say he's retired from crime fighting, at least on the front lines. Steve Rogers went back in time to return the Infinity Stones to their proper places on the timeline, but made a less-than-quick stopover to live out his life with Peggy Carter, placing him in the present-day MCU as an old man. Apparently, the super soldier serum does wear off eventually, but that won't necessarily stop him from making an appearance in Black Widow because of this movie's place in the timeline. It takes place after the events of Captain America Civil War, but before Avengers Infinity War. So at the point in time when Black Widow takes place, Steve Rogers is still young and rocking that flawless head of blonde hair. Although I'm not sure exactly when he grew out that fantastic Infinity War beard. Regardless of his facial hair status, Steve was still in action during the events of Black Widow, even though he separated from the Avengers. We know he took a detour to drop his friend Bucky Barnes off in Wakanda where he could recover and lay low, and presumably met up with Natasha at some point after that. Not only did these two end up on the same side during Civil War, but they developed a friendship over several films, and it's clear the two of them were quite close.
Right, we're getting married.
Since Natasha showed up in his movies, doesn't he owe her at least a brief cameo in Black Widow?
He's so uncomfortable?
After all, she's backed him up during Captain America the Winter Soldier and Civil War, so it's not too crazy to suggest he could return the favor since it looks like things are going to be getting hectic for Natasha to say the least. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not suggesting Cap will be a main character or even have a major role to play. After all, this is Natasha's movie, and she'll be reuniting with many of her old friends and potentially enemies as well. But having a quick Captain America cameo would make the fans happy, while also addressing her friendship with Steve during this time. And that, Marvel fans, is what we call a win-win. As much as I enjoy the friendship between Steve and Natasha, there's another big reason why I think Cap should at least make an appearance during Black Widow, and that is because of the Red Guardian. As far as I know, the MCU version of Alexei Shostakov and Steve Rogers don't have a history together, but the Red Guardian was supposed to be Russia's version of Captain America. So having them share at least a little bit of screen time could highlight this, as well as some of their differences.
You got fat.
At the very least, I'd like to see how Captain America and Black Widow end up finding their way back together and teaming up with Falcon to fight crime on the down low. What happened to separate Natasha from her family, and why weren't any of the characters from Black Widow in either Infinity War or Endgame at any point?
It's good to see you too, sis.
Black Widow is being set up to be a more isolated film, even compared to other standalones, and having Captain America show up could be a great way of connecting the larger MCU to this particular story. It could also fill in some blanks about what exactly Captain America, Black Widow, and Falcon were doing during this unaccounted time period. Honestly, at this point, I'd settle for a post-credits scene, which at least vaguely answers this question. Unfortunately for Captain America fans, there's always a chance that he won't appear in Black Widow. I know, I'm heartbroken too. Over the years, Marvel has faked us out numerous times, making us think characters were gone for good only for them to come back later totally fine. Doing this repeatedly can cheapen the emotional impact of a loss.
No resurrections this time.
And it's clear they paid special attention to make Steve's final heroic moments meaningful during Endgame. We got to see him finally get that dance with Peggy Carter and pass along his shield to Sam Wilson, bringing his journey full circle. So they may decide it's too risky to have him show up again, and risk cheapening what we saw during Endgame, even if Black Widow does take place before they started messing around with time travel. Also, as much as we love seeing them together, Natasha doesn't need Steve in order to be a compelling character. Poor Natasha's waited so long for her solo film, while Captain America has had plenty of screen time and survived beyond Endgame. Having Steve show up could distract from Natasha's story, and after all of this time, Natasha's story is something that many fans want to see. Plus, we all know the one absolutely non-negotiable thing we need in this movie isn't Captain America showing up. It's finding out what happened to Natasha and Clint Barton in Budapest. So, do you think Captain America will end up making a cameo in Black Widow, or will Natasha have an adventure without any of her fellow Avengers? Share your predictions with us in the comments section down below, and stay connected with us here at CBR by clicking on that subscribe button and turning on your notifications. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.